Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to my eyeshadow class. I'm really excited about today because today is the day that you get to see all of the tutorials. I have 4 of them for you, showing you different eye looks. I'm going to show you these eye looks and use as many different colors as I possibly can, just so you all can see as many colors as possible. So the first one that I'm going to do today is called the Deep Crease. So let me tell you a little bit about what eyeshadows I'm using and then the tools that I'm going to be using. I'll start first with the brushes. Every time I apply my eyeshadow, and for every one of the tutorials that I'm going to show you all today, I'm going to be using 2 brushes. The first one is this eyeshadow brush, okay? And it has a nice fluffy end on one side, and then it has this sort of pointed domed end on the other. So this is going to be more for precise application, and then this one is going to be really good at blending everything. And then the other that I like to use is the smudge brush. I absolutely love to use this brush to apply any glitter or shimmer shades. And then this one also has a larger domed end, which is really good for really filling in that outer V or getting a dense application of color. So these are my 2 go-tos. If you're gonna get any eyeshadow brushes, this is definitely the one to start with, but you just gotta have them both. I don't know what else to tell you. All right, the other tool that I'm going to be using is inside of my palette, and it's my brush cleaning tile. And as I'm switching back and forth from one shade to another, I'm just going to be cleaning off my brush so that I'm not mixing my colors, and I'm also not going from a dark to a light, and I'm changing the eyeshadow color that I'm using. So the colors that I'm going to use for the Deep Crease, I'm going to use a couple different colors in my transition shade because I really want to have a pop of color here, but I also want to build up that, that crease. All right, so I'm going to be using this one here, which is Stay Golden. This is just going to be like my base color, kind of getting started. This color is Bubba. This is You Complete Me. This one here is Zion. This is Revival. And this is that color that I'm really going to use in the outer V, and I'm going to use it to deepen my crease. And then this is Cupcake. So this, because it's the lightest one, if you guys checked out the diagram from earlier, this is my highlight shade. And I'm going to use that in some of the places that I showed you. All right, so I'm going to jump right in. So I always prep my lids by applying some of my highlight. Occasionally I'll apply some vanilla dust, but I also like to use Stay Golden. I like to use Valencia as well because it has orange in it, and my skin has some natural orange tones. And I told you wrong, this is Chai, this is not Stay Golden. So I'm going to start by putting just a little bit of Chai on my lids. I kind of want to create an even base to start from, and then if any of the cream that's on my lids has started to crease, this is going to prevent that from happening as well. So I'm priming them just like I do my skin before I apply my foundation. So this is a very subtle color. You can't really see much. Again, the idea is that I'm getting an even base to work from. So I'm going to start by building my transition shade, and I'm going to start applying this into my crease. So if you've ever watched me do my eyeshadow, this is my go-to. This is pretty much how I apply my eyeshadow every single day. And I do this because I have hooded eyes. So as you guys can see, some of the skin kind of comes over on my eyes, and this look just works for hooded eyes or deep set eyes. All right, so I'm going to start by tapping into Zion right here, and I always tap off my brush, especially if I'm using a dark color, and I'm just putting it right here and windshield wiper motion back and forth. Now I'm about halfway down my brush, because the closer I get, the more precise and harder, I guess, I'm going to be pushing with my brush, and I don't want to. I just kind of want a light sweeping, and I'm just starting to build some color. Now, when you're using a transition shade, it is always best that you use a warm matte color. Okay, you don't want to use any shimmers, because as you open and close your eyes, the shimmers are going to create a line, and it's going to age you, and it's going to look terrible. The way that it catches the light, the glitter in that crease line, it's going to look terrible. Just saying. Okay, so I'm also kind of swirling it out here. If I make a mess, I can always clean it up later. But for my deep crease, I'm going to be really accentuating and deepening this part as well as this outer piece here. So I'm just kind of blending so all of my colors go there. This color here, Zion, is definitely one of my fall go-tos. It really works with my skin tone. It works with my eye color. And if you have questions about which shades you should choose based on your eye color, we will definitely get into that a little bit more tomorrow. And we'll also talk about different eye shapes and how you should apply your eyeshadow based on your eye shape, because that's a big one. All right, so just kind of evening it out. And I'm gonna build that a little bit more. I'm gonna do the exact same thing, but I'm gonna use this color here, Bubba. So this combination of colors, especially if you have darker hair and getting into the fall, this could be an everyday look for you. And while the first few times you apply it, it might take you a little while, once you do it every day, it goes faster and faster. Especially add that on top of your 3D foundation, boom, done in about 10 to 12 minutes with a full eye look. Okay, so again, all I'm doing here is just kind of creating some color. And I'm following my natural bone structure. I guess I'm following my brow bone, and that's kind of where I've placed that brush. So when you have deep set eyes, that's definitely a technique for you, is to just follow that natural structure. All right, now I'm gonna get into the deep crease part. So switching over to my smudge brush, and I'm gonna take the small domed end, and I'm gonna tap this into the darkest color here, which is Revival. And I'm gonna place this in the outer V. And again, I'm tapping off that excess. The reason I do that is because I don't wanna have any fallout. I've done my foundation, all of that good stuff. I don't want a bunch of eyeshadow falling down underneath. Okay, and then I'm just gonna start smudging it into my crease. And I'm keeping it sort of to the outside of my lid. See how it's blending with those other colors? Okay, I wanna build that up just a little bit more, especially right here towards the bottom. And I'm just pushing and swirling, that's all I'm doing. Okay, so I'm gonna bring that in, blend it in, maybe about halfway. And there, so I've deepened that crease there, especially in the outer V. I'm gonna do the same on the other side. Keeping it right here on my crease, but mainly focused towards the outside of my lid. just filling that in right there on the bottom. And I just always want to double check, kind of make sure that it looks even. Okay. So I'm going to blend it in a little bit into that crease. Now on my main lid here, I'm just cleaning off on my brush. I want to add a pop of shimmer. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go back into this color here, which is Chai. And I went back to the fluffy end of my brush on my eyeshadow brush. And I'm just filling it in on this inner half of my lid. And it's gonna blend into that outer crease. Okay, so I still have the deepness there. If I feel like I want to add some more, I always can. By all means, you can always continue to add. All right, so I'm going to clean that off because I am going to use the fluffy end one more time when I finish up and I apply my highlight. But I'm going to go to the flatter side of my smudge brush, and I'm going to go into this color here, which is You Complete Me, and I'm just pressing it, tapping it off. And I'm just gonna press that onto the inner half of my lid. Now, if I really wanted this shimmer to pop, I could spray my brush with some Stay Spray. I could dip it in water. I could apply some highlight on my lid right there, as opposed to the Chai. But the Chai is just so good at blending. And then I could add the shimmer on top. But I'm just kind of keeping it subtle. Plus it's gonna make that dark crease, that deep crease stick out. So I don't have to apply the shimmer if that's not your thing. I'm applying it because I like a fun color on my lid. I could have stopped with the Chai, blended it all together, and boom, I'd be done. But there's no fun in that. All right, so the last color that I'm gonna use is my highlight shade. And I'm just gonna use just a pop of color using the fluffy side right here under my brows. Right here on the end to kind of clean that up. And right here on the inner corner. And that's it. Again, if I feel like I wanted to add anything, I can always go back. I can use a smaller end of the eyeshadow brush and get more precise if I wanted to. I think I will, just a little bit. Make that crease as deep as you feel like you want it. And I can even drag it under a little bit. And that's it. That's a deep crease. Really good for, again, hooded eyes. Really good for deep set eyes. It's gonna lengthen them, all that good stuff. And you can add a ton of color. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you a little bit later for your next tutorial. I'll post some pictures as well.